What is going on, guys? It's Matt here, and in today's video I am on my Tanjiro and I want to give a bit of an overview as to my character in general, as well as offer some training spots and answer some commonly asked questions from my live stream. First things first, and I want to go into the importance of being in a guild, right? Specifically guild skills. Being in a guild gives you additional star force, arcane force, damage, experience, as well as other things, but most importantly, the noblest guild skills, right? You have critical damage and damage, these two being the more important ones, because when you're grinding, you can get additional damage by popping one of these at a time, right? So you'll always have a guild skill up, permanently while you're grinding, right? Tanjiro does struggle a little bit with damage, so this will help you get additional damage while you're playing the character. Next thing is my gear, right? Asked a lot. This glory ring is from the Tanjiro journal. I think I had Meso on it initially just for, a little bit of grinding, because I was grinding up until 255, and now I'm just doing my dailies, but I changed that to 2-line strength. Treasure Hunter John ring, which you can get from New Leaf City, right? Talk to the mayor first, and then lead a lawless. She'll give you 3 quests. 3 kill quests. She'll give you a coin. You can use that coin in the coin shop on the right side, and then you can get this ring. Silver Blossom Medal, or Blossom Ring. This is from Horntail, but you get it from the boss accessory box, from the Tanjiro journal, right? Pink Bean Cup. Did Pink Bean for that. Gold Clover Belt, 15%. Most of my stuff is 15%. The fake arcane weapon, right, which is 15 stars, cannot star force it. It is permanent, and it comes with locked potential, right, boss damage and crit rate. I just rolled tier 6 attack on it, just for some extra damage. We got the fake Dom pendant, right? A lot of people ask, Dominator or Absol weapon, do the Dominator, okay? Gives you also that extra crit rate as well, which you might be struggling with. Prep pendant. The temporary, fake CRA, I managed to just tier everything up to unique using green cubes, from bosses. Got 12% on this, 15 on the power crystal, 15 on the aquatic eye, and then 15 on the top and bottom. Also got 15 on Cygnus shoes, so I did normal Cygnus to be able to get myself Cygnus shoes better than, well, I don't know if this is better than Nova, honestly, but yeah. I wasn't able to get Nova shoes from the first week hard Magnus. I did get Absol. I got a friend to carry me normal Lomian. I didn't do hard. I opted for normal, and I was able to get gloves and shoulder. You'll notice that I have decent speed infusion on my gloves, and I'll go into my inner ability later, but, I basically have attack speed. Paired it up with speed infusion, and Tanjiro with green potion has 0 attack speed, and I think that's the best way to play the class. Also, skip cooldown is a really good inner ability as well for Tanjiro, but in my opinion, attack speed, if you can roll it, pair that up with decent speed infusion, no need for crit damage, and then you're going to be just slicing so much faster. So we did have 17 star scrolls from the previous Tirnog event, so I did 17 my glove and my shoulder, because you also get a 17 star scroll from the Tanjiro journal, right, for additional damage. Earrings, 15%. What else? I 5-starred a Tyrant Cape. Yeah, it didn't take me too much. I think it was 2-3 bill, but I 5-starred a Tyrant Cape just for the additional damage, because, why not? Tanjiro was struggling a bit. And then I had a Fairy Heart from the Tirnog event. I got really lucky, 30%. You don't need this, but I just saved it for the Tanjiro for some extra damage. And then at 255, you get an Emblem. Right now, IED damage attack, it's more than enough, but you have to hit 255 on Tanjiro to get an Emblem. Arcane symbols, level 10s, nothing too crazy, right? Just make sure you do your dailies, make sure you do your weeklies. You can use the arcane symbol vouchers from the Tanjiro journal, right, or the regular journal as well. If you're struggling and you want some extra arcane force fast. I don't have any medals, but you can opt to buy the Guild Castle medals, or just do Afterlands for additional damage, right? But that's pretty much my gear and what I used. Next thing is the stat page, right? So inner ability, you'll see here. Okay, I got really lucky. But I rolled the attack speed, boss damage, and abnormal status. I started with the boss damage, right? I circulated. And then I was rocking like 30 attack, and then someone came into my chat and was like, oh yeah, you know, skip cooldown is like working pretty well. So I'm like, all right, I'll try to roll for skip cooldown. I ended up getting attack speed instead. And I think this is significantly better than skip cooldown. And then the abnormal status just came like, just some like, you know, fuck around rolls after. And, well, now we have a perfect inner ability, right? As for my hyper stats, for bossing, you really want to focus on crit rate, IED, damage, and boss. Often at times, especially with no familiars, you will be lacking IED, so you can opt in to put more IED points than everything else. Garbage points into attack, and then into strength, and then secondary stat. Yeah, this is pretty standard. If you're lacking crit rate, first I would recommend you getting like Phantom Link or Lin Link, right? So you don't put points into crit rate for hyper stats. But if you need to, like, you can do that, right? And then for grinding, I opted, because, you know, I did this as soon as possible, right? I think it was like day 2 because I couldn't make my Tanjiro day 1 because too many characters. But I opted to basically have almost max arcane power, you know, to be able to grind well. And then normal monster damage, and crit damage. A lot of people are asking me, like, why don't I have anything into EXP? I think because of Tanjiro's EXP passive, the extra, like, 10% is negligible from the hyper stats, so I don't think it's worth putting into that, and I'd rather have more damage, right, to be able to, like, one-shot. And again, this character can struggle with being able to deal damage, right? Especially later on. Early on, it's totally fine. Later on, once you get to, like, 200 plus, on those later levels, like, you know, you can find yourself struggling a bit, right? So that's why I opted to mainly focus on damage and not bother, like, putting into EXP into my hyper stat. We can go over Legion real quick. I have 10k Legion, right? So my Legion is pretty developed, but for grinding, I highly recommend you focus on normal monster damage and crit damage, and then experience, okay? Again, the extra experience is nice. It's not as necessary. It's only 10%, but the extra crit damage and damage does go a long way, right? Normal monster damage is 40%, you know, 20% crit damage. So these two is a lot better, and then focus on EXP afterwards, you know, if you're trying to build it out specifically for Tanjiro, right? And then for bossing, you know, I would, again, go into IED. You can easily go into IED and crit damage because they're both on the same side. If you have these unlocked, for better damage against the bosses for your boss journal, right? And then if you have anything else, you can put into boss damage. But just focus on the left side, and I think you'll be fine. As for link skills, this is my preset for grinding. So I have Hoyoung, Cygnus, Kana, Mercedes, Xenon, Kali, Kinesis, Lara, Evan, Arc, Ilium, and Demon Avenger. And then for bossing, we have Kana, Explorer Mage, Lin, Demon Slayer, Xenon, Kinesis, Luminous, Arc, Angelic Buster, Explorer Thief, Cadena, and Demon Avenger. Okay, so this is what works for me. Again, if you're lacking the crit rate, I would recommend also using Phantom. So you can swap out Phantom for something like, I don't know, like Cadena, you know, you could throw it away. Or you could like throw out like Cygnus, you know, and use Phantom if you need it. Okay? And that's pretty much it for the overview. I mean, I guess I could show my keybinds. It's I guess that question is asked to a little bit. Just have my main attack on control, you know, my Kali dash on spacebar, and then some like easy to reach skills like on shift, delete, and end, right? And then more of my higher cooldown skills above that. Toggles. I did get a pet. I would recommend getting a pet for reward points. Right, to be able to auto buff your Maple Warrior, because I ain't trying to do that every 3 minutes. And then I do have decent speed infusion on my gloves, which again I recommend in order to be able to hit 0 attack speed, right, with Green Potion. Even if you can't roll attack speed inner, I would still recommend rolling for decent speed infusion on your gloves, because you can at least get to 1 attack speed, which still feels significantly better than the soft cap 2. All right. So now we're just going to get into the training guide portion of the video. This is probably going to be the longest part. But I want to basically go from like 10 to 260 and just give you some of my ideas, as well as other ideas that have been recommended, to be honest. But just like spots that I went to, or that, you know, like are good for Tanjiro specifically, with or without battle stance, right? Because you can grind without having to move, right? And then you can like still, if you toggle it off, you can dash around, right? Or you can stay still with Tanjiro. So I want to do this like, you know, normally instead of just like cut to the spot, because people still don't know like how to get to somewhere. So the first spot, starting at level 10, I like Savage Terminal, Stray Dog Alley 1. So we're going to go to Maple World, Grandis, Savage Terminal over here, top right. So this map is really good. I would probably turn off Battle Stance for this, and then just use your Kali Dash, right? And then just kind of jump around. And you're gonna be leveling like super fast, so it doesn't really matter where you go early on. You can pop your EXP coupons. Do keep in mind that if you're starting a new Tanjiro, you do need to save your rune, right, for one of your Tanjiro missions. So I wouldn't like pop the first one that you see, right? Get to a high enough level first before popping the rune. So basically, I would stay here from 10 to about 35 to 40, right? Again, you're going to be leveling like super fast. So this is the first spot. Next spot, we're going to go back to Maple World, and we're going to go to the good old Wild Boar Land in Parion. Okay, Wild Boar Land, very big map, you know, pretty easy to rotate. So you just kind of jump around, right? And you could do this without battle stance, you know, you don't need battle stance on for this. But just really like use your Kali Dash as best you can. And yeah, it doesn't really matter like too much how you rotate through these early maps, but I would basically come here at around like 40 to 50, right? Or like around level 40 and stay here until 50. Right? I mean, you can even stay here a little bit longer, but again, Tanjiro's EXP passive is very massive, so you're able to go to spots a lot earlier than you would normally, right? And it kind of ignore that EXP penalty. You're basically canceling it out. Okay. Next area, we're going to go into Sleepywood, and we're just going to go to good old Silent Swap. We're going to go to Drake's. All right. I would probably turn on Battle Stance for this, right? You don't really want to be moving around too much. And then you can just dash back up, right? You can use your water wheel if you want to. But this is pretty easy. Just kind of like stay in the middle, look left and right. So I would come to Drake's at around 50 to 60. Oh, sorry, around level 50. And I would stay here till about 60, 65. All right. Next up, we're going to go to Orbis, and we're going to go to Stairway to the Sky 1. You can come here at about level 60, and then stay here until like 70 to 75. Pretty much, you can turn off Battle Stance, right? So you can be dashing around here. Once you get to the bottom, just fully dash up, right? And then start from the top right, and then just kind of make your way down. And I think that is super free. And then you just boop, 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 go back up, kind of start at that right there, and then just make your way down. And you can stay here until about 70, 75, right? Okay, I probably don't want that curse, so we're gonna go scrap that. All right. Next up, at around 70, we can go over to Nahal Desert, and first we can make a pit stop at Sahel 2. Okay, and grind here until about 80. Very nice flat map, perfect for Tanjiro. Battle stance off, and just go back and forth. Right. This is a bit of a smaller map, but we're only here for like a very short period of time. A bit of a pit stop. You can even leave at like 85, but I suggest, or sorry, 75, but I suggest like 70 to 80 here, you know. And then once you hit about 80, we're going to move over to the right here, and we're going to go to Lab Area C2 in Magadia, which is basically the same map, just a lot longer, right? So we can stay here from like 80 to 90, and it's really good. Okay, once we hit 90, we're going to go to our first Star Force map. So hopefully at this point you have maybe something like 5-10 Star Force. You don't really need too much. But we're going to go to Leafree, and we're going to go to Skynest 3. So 90 to about 105, right? We can stay here. Battle stance can be off, you know, and just use your dash to kind of move around. Very good. It's a Star Force map. It offers better experience than normal maps, right? And then you can have Strawberry Farm with the Golden Rock Spirit giveaway if you're going to buy the Legion Pass, right? So once you get to, you know, about like, you know, 101, you can go into the Start tab here, and if you are going to be purchasing the Legion Pass, you can use these 10 passes to then basically boost you to 200. I think you only need like 2 of those. And then once you hit 140, regardless, if you go into your Tanjiro journal, you are going to get Bonk pots, right? You're going to get 20 of these, and these should send you to 200, right? But let's say you don't have those, right? Let's say you don't have those. You don't have Strawberry Farm. You don't have the Bonk potions. Where else could you go, right, to 200? Okay. So about 105, right, we're out of Leafree, and we're going to go to Deep in Ludi, and we're going to go to Forgotten Passage, all right, and grind on Thanatos, right? This is a really nice, another Star Force map, really nice flat map, 2 platforms, right? There's a portal on the left side, so you pretty much dash towards that portal, you know, and then once you get to the top right, use your dash to go down. Right, so we're sliding across the screen. Pretty easy, really good EXP. Try to like change channel if you can find like better burning, right? But this is a very good map, and I would stay here till about 130 to 135, right? That's how good it is. Once you get to the 130s, excuse me, we're gonna head over to Kerning Tower. Any map can work. It really depends on you. My personal favorite is floor 5, the 4th one, right? Love this map. Tanjiro is pretty simple. You can just stay in the middle, right? And then use your dash to be able to get to the other platforms, right? So you're literally just staying in the middle of the map, and then just using your normal attack and going across. Super easy. This also works very well on Frenzy as well. Sometimes it will get a little awkward where you can't make that dash, you know, to the rightmost platform. But you can just use your dash to get back up there. So yeah, this is very very nice map, and very simple to grind at. And I would basically stay here until like, you know, like the 160s, 170s, you know. So you're gonna be here for a hot minute, you know. But it's Star Force map, so it's really good. You're gonna need to be able to Star Force your gear, right? After this, we're gonna head over to Omega Sector, right? Go over to Omega Sector, and we're gonna go to Corridor HO1. All right, and we can pretty much just stay here until 180, right? Another Star Force map. You kind of just stay in the middle, use your little Kali dash, you know, your movement skill, to be able to get to the other platforms. And yeah, pretty simple, right? Again, like, these maps are just very, very good for Tanjiro, in my opinion. If you have any other maps that you recommend and suggest, just make sure to leave them in the comments down below, right? I'm not saying that these are like, you know, like the best, you know, these are just the ones that, you know, I found to be like the easiest. I did have to grind my Tanjiro to 200 the normal way on reg server because rewards aren't shared. you know, and they're only once per account. Thank you, Nexon. But it is a lot easier with Frenzy on Reg server. All right. And then so once we hit the 180s, we're going to go head over to Twilight Perion. We're going to go to Temple of Time, Gates of the Future, and we're going to go to Desolate North Rocky Road, right? And we're basically staying here until 200. So this is a really good map. We're just going to be utilizing our movement skill, right, to be able to get across the map, and then no battle stance, right? Just kind of go back and forth. There's a portal on the bottom to be able to get back to the top. And then just kind of, yeah, rotate like so. And I think this is good enough, you know. Yeah. And that's basically it to 200, right? Congratulations. You are now 200, and you can head over to the Vanishing Journey. And a very commonly asked question is, well, how do I do my 5th job advancement, right? It's like I did the entire Temple of Time quest, and I'm like, hold on, you don't need to do anything, okay? Once you go over to your start tab, it's like the 5th quest. It's a separate Demon Slayer quest. It's a Demon Slayer themed quest, right? It's like number 5 or 6, and then you just do all of those, and then that will give you the story quest, the cutscenes, to be able to get into Vanishing Journey, right? That's all you have to do. And then in order to complete the Vanishing Journey scenario for your Tanjiro journal, because I also had this question, right? I'm not too sure where that is. That's the monster park. Yeah, so this scenario, right, for the Hyperburninator, the scenario just means the pre-quest for the town, right? So if you don't already have it completed from a different character and you can skip it, you have to do the entire Vanishing Journey questline if you're a newer player. So once you finish that entire questline and you get your VJ symbol, then you'll be able to complete this mission. Okay. All right. So we're 200. We still have 60 levels to go. Where are we going? Okay, so we're going to Arcane River. We're going to Vanishing Journey, and we're going to go to below the cave. I think for some of these, I might have to change channel. Hopefully not. But yeah, pretty much we're going to use the portals in this map, right? To get here. So once we go top, we go back to bottom right, dash across, right? Use the portal, and then go back to the bottom right. Once you get to the left side, you can use like your water wheel, right, to be able to clean up some mobs. Just rotate through your skills, honestly. And then just head back to bottom right. So we're staying here from 200 to 205, right? And then you'll have to do Reverse City. But this map is probably the easiest for Tanjiro. Okay, once we get to 205, we're gonna go to Reverse City, and we're gonna go to T-Boy's Research Train 1. Okay, this is a very nice map, very flat map too. And what you could do here is once you get to this part right here with the mobs up here, you want to either use your Whirlpool or your Waterfall Bazin, right? Just go through between those two skills, right? Alternate between those two skills. So one way, we can use Whirlpool. You don't need to jump up, right? The reason we don't use Water Wheel is because you kind of have to jump up to be able to hit those. So you're going left and right, and then you're just going to be alternating. Again, no battle stance here, right? You're just going to be alternating between those two skills to be able to get the top mobs. And that's pretty much it. Right? Pretty simple. And this will last you until 210. Right? 205 to 210. All right. Once we hit 210, we're going to go over to Choo Choo Island, and we're going to go to Mottled Forest 3. All right, Mottled Forest 3 is really good. Another very flat map, and you're basically going to have to just use skills on the left and right sides to be able to like kind of clean up the mobs. Let your Inosuke, you know, kind of clean up the top. So again, between like water wheel, you know, your waterfall basing, your whirlpool, that's pretty much what you want to do, and clean up those sides. So you're gonna stay here from 210 to 215. All right, and then once we hit 215, we're gonna head over to Yum Yum Island. And we're going to go to Hidden Illiard Field. Super easy map. Wow, I'm very surprised we haven't ran into anyone. I'll have to change channel. But Hidden Illiard Field, super easy. You're just going to stay in the middle. Alright, this is going to be the layout of like another map later on. But you're just going to stay in the middle and then just dash back and forth. I'm going to put on a green pot. Just to really show you the attack speed. Right, because now I can break the attack speed cap, so now we're at 0 attack speed. Just to really show you how good it can be in some maps. The attack speed difference, honestly, can make or break like certain rotations, you know, and be able to like clear the mobs more efficiently. But we're gonna be here from 215 to 220. All right, and then once we hit 220. We are going to Lachlan, and I'm going to suggest Chicken Festival 2. A lot of people will suggest you the red shoes and whatnot, but I think Chicken Festival 2 is very simple. 2 platforms here, right? And you just dash across. You know, the bottom is pretty, you know, standard, and then on the top, you're just going to dash between the platforms and then rinse and repeat. All right, just 2 long plats. I think, yeah, once you get to the right side, I would just jump and use your dash, right, to be able to get to that. And I think this is simple enough. So I would recommend this map from 220 to 225. Okay, once we hit 225, we're going to go over to Arcana, and there's a couple of suggestions here, right? We kind of follow like the pattern, you know, as you get like to a higher level, right? So this is going to be from 225 to 240. We're going to start with where water and sunlight meet, right? This is a map favorite of mine, right? We're going to start on the top right, and again, like use those dashes through the platforms. And just like the last map, we're gonna go look how fast that attack speed is. We're gonna go across the bottom, right? Super fast. Dash through the gaps, right, with our skill, and then go back and rinse and repeat, right? So this is the first map that I would recommend. Next map would be between Frost and Thunder 2. This is a super lazy map, and as you can see, someone is here. So hopefully I don't need to change channel too much to be able to find a map. Yeah, and this map is like super simple. You basically just dash from one end to the other. Once you hit the wall, wait for the mobs to respawn, and then you go back, right? And then you just go back and forth, and that's it. So this is between Frost and Thunder 2. And you might need to use like one of your skills to clean up the mobs up there, I guess, if your Inosuke doesn't do it. So you either start with that, you know, or you end with it. So you probably just water wheel, yeah. Next up is CLP, honestly. Really just like simply CLP, right? You start from the top right here, and then you dash down, and then you dash down again, and that's it. Good old CLP, man. Good old CLP. It's crazy. That's all you have to do. You might miss some mobs, right? You could, I guess you can dash and like water wheel, or use one of your skills to be able to get them all. I'm like missing one, but yeah, another like super lazy map alternative would be CLP. And then the most popular map, which I am not going to find, okay, is the deepest part of the Cavern lower path. Okay, you will not find this map if you are in Chronos. No matter how many times I tried to CC. Like, I'll try a couple of times here, but I am not going to find a map, okay? And rightfully so, because it's the most popular Tanjiro map. Basically, you're going to... We can just watch this Tanjiro, but you're going to just dash across on the top, right? That's all you got to do. You go from one end to the other, and then you go down, and then you reset on the top left, right? And then you go... You're just going to dash across the map. Once you get to the right side, you dash down, and you're going to reset to the top left, okay? And again, Arcana here from 225 to 240 is very solid, but I am not going to find a map here. Okay, and now if you are kind of sick of this place already by, like, you know, the 230s, we can go over to Morass, and from about 230 or 235 to 240, I have some recommendations here. We're going to start with Bully Boulevard 3 in Morass. And now this kind of takes like more effort, right? So basically jump, dash, right? Jump, dash, and then dash, and then go back and down, right? Then you go all the way across, right? Jump, dash, dash. You have to jump dash the first two. All right, if you want to make it in one dash. So jump dash diagonal, and then this one just dash. You don't have to jump. Okay, I fucked that up. But that's basically the rotation that I came up with. So you have to flash jump for this one. You don't need a flash jump for the second one, and then well, just to be safe, I guess you can jump up. But this is a pretty solid map. You know, it's very big, a lot of mobs, and if you don't mind putting in, you're gonna have to put in the work anyway. But yeah, if you don't mind putting in that work, this is a nice alternative to other spots. Okay. Next map is going to be Shadowdance Hall 2. All right, Shadowdance Hall 2, pretty standard map. A lot of people love going here. I kind of just use my skill to all the way to the left, and then use my dashes, if I use it correctly, diagonally and to the right. So we kind of like go across, and then we end up in the middle here. Kind of finish off the mobs over there. This class is lacking a summon, right? That's like the biggest drawback to Tanjiro, is this class is lacking a summon. Unfortunately. And you can kind of like use water wheel to hit the mobs up top here. But whatever works for you. You don't need to follow this. Whatever works for you. Whatever rotation is easier for you to follow. You can make up your own, as long as you're getting the job done and you're clearing kind of most of the mobs. Again, Tanjiro is really bad for a lot of these maps. A lot of these bigger maps that are not flat. So just do the best that you can. And then the final map here is going to be Abandoned Area 2. Is also a really good alternative. This is a flat map with some mobs kind of like in the top middle. So you can kind of just go back and forth until you, I don't know, kind of don't see any mobs. And then once you go into the middle, you just dash up, and then you just use skills up here. Clean up the mobs. And then rinse and repeat. Just kind of go left and right. Yep. That's pretty much it. Then you just have to go to like the top mid, clear our mobs, and then rinse and repeat. My personal favorite, I just did SDH2, honestly. Bully Boulevard also works very well, but I just stayed at SDH2 until 240. And now, speaking of 240, we're going to head over to Celis. We're going to completely skip Asphera. We don't like Asphera. And then there's two maps here. The Final Edge of Light 5, which is where I grinded. I am actually going to turn on Battle Stance, right? For like the first time, we're going to turn on Battle Stance, and we're just going to simply jump and attack. That's all. Right? We're going to dash up twice on the right side. And then, yeah, this is nice and chill. Okay, the second map recommendation is going to be the best map, which is Star Swallowing C4. It's very similar to Hidden Illiard Field. We'll see if I can manage to find a map. But you're basically going to just be dashing, you know, in the middle, back and forth, very similar to Hidden Illiard. Not sure if I'll be able to find a map at this time, but let's see. Nah, we won't. Okay, that's fine. We can just watch this Tanjiro do his thing. So you go from like one side, right? And then you're going to dash across over. Yep, and that's it. Pretty much. Left and right, left and right. All you need to do, you gotta turn off your battle stance, obviously, but you're just going left and right. And this is the best map, you know, for Celis. I would say that Final Edge of Light has more burning, so you might get more EXP over there, but this is the laziest map to grind. And you can stay here from, honestly, 240 to 250. Right? But if you happen to be sick of this map and you want a change of scenery, we're going to head over to Moonbridge at 245. And we have Lost Horizon 2 and Lost Horizon 4 as recommendations. So Lost Horizon 2, again, very similar to a lot of these other maps. We're just going to be dashing left and right, you know, just to kind of stay in the middle. If you want to try, you know, harder, you can actually rotate, you know, from like the bottom left here, right? So we kind of like start on the bottom left and then go over to the top, you know, and then dash in between the platforms, right? That kind of like, you know, that does clear up more mobs. But if you don't want to do that, you can simply just stay in the middle and then just dash back and forth and just like let Inosuke, you know, clear the rest of the mobs. It's also a very popular map. And then aside from that, we have Lost Horizon 4. We are going to turn on Battle Stance for this. Right? And I wonder if that person is... Do I CC? Are they gonna CC? Okay. We're going to start from the bottom left. We're gonna dash on the right side, you know, up and then to the left, and then just kind of rotate that way. You know, start from the bottom left. You can try to use like one of your skills once you get to the top here, right, to kind of clear those mobs. I think that would be better. But LH2 is a lot more simpler than this, but I chose to grind here because it had better burning, right? And sometimes, you know, even if it's not the laziest choice, better burning will definitely or should net you better EXP, you know, and then you'll be able to just get done faster. So Moonbridge from 245 to, you know, I would say about 255 even, you know, you can stay here. All right, and now starting at 250, we can head over to Labyrinth. And the one good map that I grinded at, you know, from 250 to 255 was Core 6. Okay. Again, you kind of start at the bottom left here, jump into the wall, dash up twice, and then, yeah, clean up mobs that way. Nice, simple rotation. I don't know. It's not even like, it doesn't even look like a square, but yeah, pretty simple rotation. And it gets the job done. So core 6 would be from 250 to 255. All right, let me go ahead and grab this rune. Oh, wonderful. Just what I need in the middle of a recording, an elite boss. All right, well, when you hit 240, you get this skill. And then it just basically deletes everything. So, wonderful. Once you hit 255, we're going to head over to Limina. And I got 2 recommendations in Limina. We got 1.4 and 2.7, right? So we're going to start off with 1.4, and we're definitely going to turn off our, what's it called? Battle stance, right? I've already been recording for too long. God damn it. My memory. But pretty much staying in the middle, right? And then just jumping over to the middle platform on the right. And yeah, that's it. You can kind of see that I'm struggling with damage right now. I don't know if I have like... yeah, I got my bossing hyper stats on. But that's okay. We're going to go over, you know, something in a little bit, right? When we answer some common questions. But that's 1.4. And then the other option is 2.7. 2.7 is also very free. You kind of, again, you just kind of stay in the middle of the map, right? And then you can have like Inosuke kind of clean up the sides. If you want to use one of your water moves, you can. But if you're one-shotting, like you should be fine. Just kind of just dash in between the gaps, and yeah, I probably would say 2.7 is going to be the best map for Limina for Tanjiro, and you know you're staying here from 255 to 260, and that's it, and that's 10 to 260 for you right there. Okay. Let's head back over to Leafree. And I also want to say that at the end of the day, right after you do all of your grinding, it's extremely important to do Monster Park, right? Make sure you do your 7 Monster Park runs every day because Monster Park got buffed and it's significantly better. This could be an issue in Reg server, but in Reboot, there is no reason to not do your 7 Monster Park runs every day, as well as your dailies, right? You have your symbol dailies and your Tenebris dailies. I think this gives me like 9%, like 8 to 9% every day. So you want to make sure that you're doing those dailies. And yeah, that's basically it for the training guide, 10 to 260. Hopefully, you know, you got something out of that. Again, if you have a different training spot that you would like to recommend, you can leave it down in the comments down below. Otherwise, you know, hopefully that helped. All right. Now that the training guide is over, let's get to some commonly asked questions that I've been asked. All right. First things first, I would like to explain the Wild Hunter potion. Right. This Wild Hunter pot right here, Sayram's Elixir, gives you 10% attack and magic attack, 50 attack, 16% crit damage, 20% crit rate, 10 boss for 15 minutes. You do not need to be bossing to use this, okay? Just like regular like Monster Park potions, you can use this while you grind normally, okay? You do not need to, like, this is not just effective inside a boss, okay? And in order to gain access to this, you have to be level 200 or higher. You go to your light bulb tab, scroll down to see collector's request. You have to do this only once, right? I have it on this character, but it is shared across all of your characters, so you do not need to do this multiple times. And then when you talk to the collector, you'll have the Sayram Elixir and Aurelia Elixir, right? This is the door one. And just buy these and pop them every 15 minutes for some additional damage. Next question is Emblem, right? I don't have an emblem on Tanjiro. How do I get an emblem? Can I buy it? The answer is no. You have to get to 255. Right, that's the only way to do it. Level 255, you get a legendary emblem. After the event is over and your Tanjiro turns into an explorer hero, you will be able to buy an emblem normally from the store, right? Like the secondary shop or whatever. So you will be able to buy level 100 emblem. It's going to be clean, right? Not legendary, but if you want the legendary emblem, you have to hit 255 on your Tanjiro. Next question is about the Arcane Box, right? Once you hit 250, the untradeable Arcane Box, it does give you a two-handed sword. To my knowledge, that's all it gives. I don't think it's going to give like a spear or like a hammer after the event is over. You can save it and try for yourself, but it does give this two-handed sword. This two-handed sword is permanent. It is 15 stars locked and also locked in potential, 35 boss, 12 damage, and 12 crit rate. I just put a couple of flames on it just to get T6 attack, and that's it. You don't need to go super hard. I put a soul enchanter on it as well for like additional attack, but no soul. But that is the arcane weapon once you hit 250. Some things we're going to kind of repeat, you know, from like earlier, but best inner ability, right? I'm rocking attack speed. I would highly recommend attack speed, and you pair that up with decent speed infusion on your gloves, right? To be able to hit 0 attack speed. If you cannot hit attack speed, I would still recommend you rolling for decent speed infusion and then using green pot to be able to hit 1 attack speed, because that's going to feel significantly better than grinding on the soft cap of 2, right? Another good inner ability, like we mentioned earlier, is skip cooldown. If you manage to hit skip cooldown, there's no need to like kind of fish for attack speed. Just keep that, and then you'll be able to, you know, use your water skills ideally more frequently, right? Another question is, how do I get to Vanishing Journey on Tanjiro? I hit 200. How do I get to Vanishing Journey? Again, in your star tab, it'll be like the 5th quest, right? A separate Demon Slayer themed quest, right? You will have to do some scenarios, right? You'll have to do some quests and get through cutscenes, and that will get you into Vanishing Journey, okay? You do not need to do Temple of Time questline or anything like that. Next question is, does buff duration affect Maple Warrior? Right, so this Maple Warrior, Warrior of the Corpse, it is 3-minute duration, right? And it's really good, actually. 1% all stat for every 5 levels. Right, my Tanjiro would give 51% all stat. And this does stack with every other Maple Warrior, because now Maple Warrior is passive, right, for every class. So having a Tanjiro to buff you for like your first and or second burst in a boss is actually pretty huge, right? And it can make quite a difference. So Tanjiro, for the duration of this event, is going to be a buff mule, right? If you're able to get one. The level doesn't really matter. The higher level is the better. But like that extra like 1, 2, 3% all stat isn't really going to make that big of a difference. So as long as it's like a decently leveled Tanjiro, that is good. But yeah, buff duration does not affect this skill. Okay, we've tried. It caps out at 3 minutes. So no buff duration needed on your Tanjiro if you're going to be buffing your friends or anyone else with this skill. Next question is, should we go past level 250? Okay, short answer is no, you do not need to. But it depends on what you're using your Tanjiro for, okay? If you want this to be a boss mule, I would recommend just going to 260, right? Just full send it. The EXP passive, like the grinding is pretty solid. You know, the EXP I was getting like about like a level an hour into 230s, right? This is with 3x and MVPs. I was getting about like 60% in the 240s and the 250s, about 30% an hour. So yeah, I would recommend just grinding it out if you've got the time. Okay. Honestly, for most people, you can just like cap out at 200 and get your Hyperburninator and peace out. But I also recommend getting to 220, which is where 220, right? Because you need to get to Lachlan and then get your Black Flames, your 200 Black Flames, right? That you can transfer with an account. Would recommend this for a lot of people. And I think 220 is more than enough to be able to like clear normal Lomian, right? If you want the rewards from the mission journals as well. So 250 is not necessary whatsoever. Even getting to 250 is not necessary. But it really just depends on like what you want this character for, right? Hero Boss Mule, great. Paladin or Dark Knight, all really great. Paladin is the best like in a party setting. Dark Knight would be the best, even if it's a 3-minute class. It would be the best for like a solo bosser, right? Personally, I favor Hero. I really like Hero a lot, the most. And I have one as a Legion champion, so I would recommend it. It's not like highly revered class anymore, but I still think it's still a 2-minute, and it pumps out a pretty decent burst as well. Next question is, does the Tanjiro Medal have any stats, right? Right, I'm getting to 260, right? Does this medal have any stats? The answer is no. This medal does not have any stats. It is just a cosmetic. It's just yay, congratulations, you did this. You got Tanjiro to 260. It kind of sucks that it doesn't have any temporary stats, you know, for like 30 days or anything. Kind of missed out on that one. Missed opportunity. But this does not give any stats. It's just a cosmetic to show. It's a flex that, you know, you got your Tanjiro to 260. All right, next thing is, what is the best ring to get from your coupon, right? So upon reaching Labyrinth of Suffering, you know, you do the Monster Park, you get a event ring selector coupon, right? Legendary. And I recommend the Glory Guard, the Tenebris, or the Awake ring. These are the best rings. Do not get the Hunter ring with the 20 normal monster damage. No, fuck that. That's not good. You're not going to be able to cube anything. You can't cube it, right? You can't give it any potential. But these three, the Glory Guard, Tenebris, Awake Ring, give the 25 attack, magic attack, and 40 all stats. The other rings are worse, right? And they give less stats. So just choose anything between those three, right? All right, the last thing I want to talk about is the EXP Calculator. Big shout out to Wacky Beans for this resource. I'll be sure to link this in the description down below. But we've talked about this a lot on stream, and I just kind of want to go over it and, you know, make sure you guys know how to use it. All right, so we're going to be using the all-in-one, and it's basically a good resource and tool to calculate like what level I could potentially be at by a certain date, right, and how long it could take. So there's multiple steps here, and we're going to only fill out the ones that are necessary. The first one being dailies. I filled out all of the Arcane River ones and the Tenebris dailies for EXP. I'm going to be doing 7 Monster Park runs per day. And that's pretty much it. We go to start level, no hyperburn because we're going to do the Tanjiro first. The start is 256. I'll just say 0%. And then the target level is 260. Today is the start date. And then the end date is the end of the event, which is the 29th, right? And then we save and calculate. And it tells me that by the 28th, I will be 261. And then the milestones here, you can kind of scroll down. It says that by April 11th, I should be 260. Right, which is awesome. That's Pog. So I know that I will be able to hit 260 during the event, right, by the end of the event. And then let's just say that, you know, I am going to do the same thing, right? I'm doing my dailies, I'm doing my Monster Park runs, and I'm going to be on my Hyperburn. I have my 0, which I haven't started yet, 225, and the target goal is level 260 as well. So we're going to go ahead and calculate that, and it does say that I should be able to hit 260 right by the end of the event, right? 260 and 39%. So that is by April 24th. I should be able to hit 260, which is awesome, right? I'll be able to hit both of those to 260. But that's how you use this, right? If you're grinding, you want to fill out like how many mobs you're killing per hour, as well as the base EXP of the monster. Weeklies is pretty self-explanatory, right, for your Arcane weeklies. Epic Dungeon, if you're doing that. The multiplier is just for like reg server stuff. events for EXP tickets, right? And growth potions. So this is a great resource to use, and I would highly recommend just going back to this every single time. Once again, big shout out to Wacky Beans for this, and this will be in the description of the video. All right, and that is pretty much it for the video. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate. Hopefully you learned something from this, and if you have any comments or feedback, please leave it down in the description below, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a good one.